Yo, what's good, trainers? We're back, not with Deck Wizard video, but with a whole overview of what cards we're getting from one of the newest Japanese sets, which is Start Deck 100. For some reason, Pokemon Company in Japan decided to release 100 new theme decks, and there's a bunch of really cool cards and reprints from it, so I thought it would be cool to go over it. It was finally released on PokeBeach, and so we're going to be using that. It's a great website for translations, obviously. And so, yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Sorry, I've been on a little bit of a hiatus. Took a little bit of a break. I am back in Arizona. That's why things look different. I go to school in Oregon, so back in Arizona for the holidays. And my brother's kind enough to let me use his full setup. So I've got his really nice Razer headphones on. He's got a nice webcam and everything. I'm still got to set up some lighting and stuff, but I'll get it figured out. But anyways, so this set features a bunch of really cool new artworks. We've got this like new kind of art style, which I haven't seen before in a Pokemon card, on this Rapid Strike Shinx. We've got a cute little Luxio and Luxray, and then this Bolton V from Fusion Strike, which is the most adorable thing I've ever seen. So lots of really cool artwork, and some really notable reprints that I want to go over. We've also got a new Basic Energy style, which features that that star explosion artwork that we're now going to see in Star Pokemon. And so, really cool new art style. I freaking love that. All right, so I want to get into some of the reset legality. Let's go over some of the actual competitive stuff. Artwork's cool. Get into the competitive stuff. So we're getting some notable reprints, like I said. One of which is going to be Boss's Order featuring Cyrus. So I think that's really cool that they're going through all the bosses. I can't believe he gets this. That's one of my personal favorites. Yeah, so we've got Cyrus here, has the new Boss's Order, which specifically it has the new F regulation mark, meaning that it's going to continue its legality into the next competitive season. So normally Boss's Orders, I think, came out in Rebel Clash, and so since it went Sword and Shield, Rebel Clash, Darkness Blaze, those three sets, and probably the Voltage Shoe, are most likely going to be rotated out with this upcoming rotation. Since Pokemon gets rid of all of the oldest sets in a format and rotates, so you can only use the newest ones as they come out. So Boss's Order has that F regulation mark instead of D or E, which the Giovanni Boss's Orders had, and so did the Lysander's one. And so now we're going to be able to use this card for another 2 years, since 2 years is approximately how long Pokemon cards last. It's like mixed feelings, I guess. I'm not crazy about Lysander as a card. It's way better than Pokemon Catcher when Pokemon Catcher was an item that was horrid. But I kind of liked the idea of having to use something like Cross Switcher or like Leafeon V-Star, which was also revealed on PokeBeach, instead of just relying on I play 3 copies of Boss's Orders like as a staple. I like creativity in deck building, and I think having to incorporate something like Leafeon V-Star in order to have that really strong effect is something that's really cool and has been lacking from the standard format for a very long time. They also reprinted Crushing Hammer, which for some reason is on the same level now as things like Energy Search and Switch, which Switch is not on this list. Energy Search, Energy Switch, Great Ball, Pokeball, they've been reprinting these things forever, So Crushing Hammer for some reason got added to that list at some point in time. I mean, we have seen this type of effect, flip a coin of heads, remove an energy from your opponent's Pokemon. We've seen this kind of effect many times with like Energy Removal 2, with things like, Energy Removal 1, which didn't even require a coin flip. So I guess just Energy Removal 2 and then came back in the form of Crushing Hammer. But Energy Removal 2 was never one of those cards that was like a staple, always consistently reprinted throughout the times. And so I don't know why they decided to make it one of those. It's not one of my favorite cards, but it introduces a lot of variance into the decks that feature it, which is not my favorite, but it is a very powerful effect. So I guess I'd play that. We also get Rare Candy. Obviously, we've had Rare Candy ever since base set with Pokemon Breeder, so no surprise there. We also have Professor Rowan. So specifically, Professor's Research, the card is getting reprinted and has that F regulation mark, meaning that we'll have this for another 2 years. Again, I'm not the biggest fan because, I like creativity in deck building. I like when different formats have different engines for their decks. And by reprinting things like Boss's Orders, Professor Research, that just continues the, you know, the structure that we've had for so long. The structure of 4 Professors Research, 3 Boss's Orders, things like that. I would rather have some sort of new, interesting cards that spice up the format a little bit. So I'm a little disappointed to see these get reprinted, but it's okay. All right, now some of the brand new cards. I'm going to skip some of these boring ones like Carablast, Pack for today, which I don't think anybody cares about that. And we've also got Zarude V, which I think is very interesting because here, let's go ahead and put it up here. Very interesting because it has this deck I think is hilarious, just called Jump, where we have, you know, things like Blissey from the newest Fusion Strike set that it's like, let's all roll out together. That's the attack name. Or like Credent V is like Nom 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 Incisors. And then we have Zarude V with Jump. I think that's kind of funny. But Jump is very interesting because this is reminiscent of the old Buzzwole GX and the old Landorus EX, which both had this similar kind of attack. But it has that Jump attack, which is very similar to Hammerhead from Landorus EX or Jet Punch from Buzzwole GX, which says do 30 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon and 30 damage to a bench Pokemon. A very strong spread attack for just 1 energy. So that's really, really good. It also has a really good second attack with Jungle Rage, which says 120 plus 120 more damage if the opponent's active Pokemon is a Pokemon V. Basically everything's a Pokemon V in this format. That isn't going to change with Brilliant Stars either because we're getting Pokemon V-Star, which still count as Pokemon V. Fun fact, even Pokemon V Union count as Pokemon V. If you wanted to use something like Adventures Discovery, you can search out V Union, which is really good and something you can try out. But anyways, everything's a Pokemon V is what I'm getting at. So Jungle Rage is probably consistently going to be doing 240 damage, which is an insane second attack. It has 220 HP, really solid. And so I can see this card getting a lot of play given that we get some good grass types to support it. There are things like the Rillaboom from Sword and Shield and got reprinted as well in Shining Fates, I believe it was, or Champion's Path, which might have the same regulation mark, so could get rotated. But I think this is a really, really strong card for grass types. Then we've also got Entei V, which is basically a Suicune V, but fire type. Entei is a little bit better though. It does have, 20 more HP points than Suicune V, as well as an extra retreat cost. So it seems that's how they're going to differentiate between the legendary beasts. We have Entei with 230 HP, but 3 retreat cost. Suicune with 210 HP, but 2 retreat cost. Raikou with 200 HP and 1 retreat cost. So that's pretty much the only way they're varying these Pokemon cards. They still have Fleet-Footed. They still have Burning Rondo. Fleet-Footed gets a little bit worse when you have a 3 retreat cost. So you're not able to like retreat and pivot as easily. But then we still have that Burning Rondo attack, which is 20 plus damage for 20, and 20 more damage for each bench Pokemon in play. Very strong attack, especially when you consider we're getting things like Magma Basin next set, which accelerate onto Fire type. I think we're gonna get a lot of Fire type support, and so I can see this card being very, very good. I mean, Suicune's already been so good, right? I don't think Suicune's gonna get any less good, so it's a little playing a Fire type deck gets a little bit scary, but I still think that's gonna be a really good card. Then we got Torkoal, Garbhazan, boring. Simisear V. I don't know why they felt the need to give Simisear a good card. I hate that Pokemon, but bursting it is fairly good. Bursting power for 20 damage for 1 fire energy. You may attach up to 2 basic energy cards from your hand to your Pokemon in any way you like. Not great. It's not terrible. I think the new Arceus V that's coming out is just going to be better than this, and since it even accelerates from the deck, that new one, and you have to use the new double turbo energy or whatever it's called with it. So it's fine, I guess. But then you probably just die. There's no VMAX to like buff your HP or V-Star to buff your HP. Player Fumble, this attacks 30 more damage for each energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. Again, it's fine, but probably not good enough to see play. We've got Kingler V, which also has a cool artwork. I'm a sucker for artwork. We've got Bubble Fall, flip a coin, if head, search your deck for 5 water energy cards and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. This is really cool. Again, again, don't know if it's good enough to actually see play since we do have things like Frostmoth, but maybe after that rotates, then this will be pretty good. I think it's funny because then looking at the Kingler VMAX, Kingler VMAX has almost the exact same attacks as Kingler V, but just buffs them without a coin flip, which is kind of cool. So Bubble Fall on the Kingler V needs a coin flip, Bubble Fall on the VMAX does not. And so now that's much better. If you get a turn 2 Kingler VMAX, you don't have to flip a coin. You know, I mean, I guess you could use things like Glimwood Tangle if you wanted to for Kingler V, but that sounds pretty bad. You'd probably rather use things, I don't know, like Training Court, I don't know, something else. There's much better stadiums. So just evolve into the VMAX, don't need to use that coin flip anymore. Then you have this tech Bubble Fall, you can accelerate just massive amounts of energy onto the board all at once, which I think is very good. And you still have that 330 HP, you're a VMAX, you can Cheryl. I think this is decent. I don't know if the attack is good enough. 240 damage, maxing out at 240 and doing 30 to yourself is not great. But maybe Bubble Fall is good enough to have it see some competitive play, maybe as like a 1-1 or a 2-1, 2-2. I could see that. Then we got a Staryu, does not matter. Pikachu V, Lightning Bomb, discard all lightning energy, not very good. Oh, and here's the Raikou I was talking about. Raikou, 200 HP and 1 retreat cost, and then has that fleet-footed ability. So, in a standard format, I think this is kind of bad. There's not a whole lot of lightning acceleration unless you want to play Flaffy, I guess. But I think where this card is going to shine is in the expanded format. Think about it. You get Skyfield, so you can play Skyfield. You can have 8 bench Pokemon. Now you're doing, what, 20 and then 8 bench Pokemon. So you're doing 180 damage for 2 energy. If you have, I guess you can't have Thunder Mountain and Skyfield in play. That would be kind of broken. So you do need to use the full 2 energy. Thunder Mountain does reduce lightning Pokemon's attack costs by a lightning energy. But I mean, you could still play that, right? And then you can use Lightning Rondo for 120 plus whatever your opponent's bench is at for 1 energy. Still not bad. Especially when you consider you get things like Electro Power, which are basically like Fusion Strike's power tablets, but for lightning Pokemon. And so you can use Electro Powers. I think there's even a card called Electro Charger, which says flip 2 coins, I believe, and for each heads, put an Electro Power into your hand. You can reuse Electro Powers, unlike power tablets. I guess unless you use Miracle for power tablets. But yeah, I think this card's going to be great in expanded format. You get things like Floatstone. You can switch between them if you want to. Fleet-footed is good at draw. Honestly, it's just a free +1. Not bad. Things like Electro Power. In expanded, people love to have big benches. And so I think this is going to be really good. It will get a little bit restricted by the Pseudo-Udo that's in expanded from Guardians Rising, which says you can only have 4 bench Pokemon. I think it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. You also have Tapu Koko Prism Star. Oh, how could I forget that? To accelerate onto this thing as well. So I could see this being paired, honestly, with like Dragonite V and just having a really strong, really aggressive deck. They both use lightning energy. So then we've got Starmie, boring. Mewtwo, boring. Gramble V has Enraged Fang. This attack does 10 more damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. And then Bull Dash for 190. Yeah, it's kind of interesting that this is a Psychic type. I mean, if an Urshifu tries to Rapid Flow it, then they're going to activate Enraged Fang and do a lot of damage to it. It'll be good with that double turbo energy that's coming out, since you can attack for just a single energy attachment. But don't think it's good enough without like a VMAX or something to buff it up and take it to that next level. We also got Hitmontop, Trapinch, Vibrava, Flygon. Finally, we get another Flygon. Is it going to be good? I don't know. Probably not. This deck does 50 damage for each energy in your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost. Okay, so basically a worse Leafeon. Except Leafeon is, what, 60 times? So it's kind of way better. This does need only 1 fighting energy as opposed to 2, but it's a stage 2 as opposed to a way harder to get in play. It has 150 HP instead of 330 or 310. I think this is just worse than Leafeon in every single way, unfortunately. Then we've got a Liepard. Dark type Liepard with the coolest art. Oh, look at that. He's like in Gotham City, like Batman. Amazing. And it has the trade ability, reminiscent of that old Zoroark GX. That just dominated the format for as long as it was legal. So unfortunately, Liepard is not Zoroark GX. It might try to be. It is a stage 1 dark type. But without that Riotous beating attack, without that 210 HP, it's just not going to get there. This is basically just a Cincino that's a little bit worse because you can't level ball for it. So, a little disappointing, unfortunately, but kind of cool to see Trade come back. Then we've got Impidimp, Morgrem, and Grimmsnarl. They've been printing a lot of Grimmsnarls recently. Grimmsnarl has the attack Long Shot for each dark energy attached to this Pokemon. This attack does 30 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. You could use it with like Hydreigon, which has Deluge, like Blastoise's Rain Dance, but for dark energies. It's pretty bad. Don't play this card. Unless something comes out that makes it significantly better. We've got more Pico V. Look at it. He's in the Winden Stadium. That's so cool. Got Bite and Run. You may switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. Kind of cool with double turbo energy. You can switch into like a Galarian Weezing or something. Then it's also got the second attack, Hungry Spite. You played Marnie's Pride from your hand to 240. Unfortunately, Marnie's Pride is just not good enough as a supporter to like warrant using it as your supporter. I think in order to get the extra 120 damage. Just because more Pico V is not good enough, Marnie's Pride isn't good enough. Marnie's Pride, as we'll see, says take an energy from your discard pile and put it onto one of your bench Pokemon, which is fine. It's honestly pretty good. It's like a Dark Patch, Metal Saucer, whatever, as your supporter for any type, which is cool. But I don't know, the extra effect is just not worth having to use that card. I think decks will play that card, but not because of more Pico V. Okay, so then we've got the Aggron V and Aggron VMAX combo, which unfortunately these cards are bad. They're not good. We got Rock Slide, does 90 and then 30 to 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Sure, you can use things like Telescopic Sight if you wanted to. Opponent's active Pokemon already has damage counters on it. It does 300 damage. That's really good. 300 for any sort of damage counters is good. Not when it's 5 energy costs. That is horrible. So yeah, Aggron VMAX has the same problem, where max takedown 270 and does 30 damage to itself. Kingler has this same attack for 30 less damage, and it's 2 less energy costs. So if that doesn't tell you about the ratio of like efficiency of energy to damage output, if that doesn't tell you this card is bad, then I don't know what else to tell you. Crack Stomp, that's kind of a funny name. Card the top card of your opponent's deck, also kind of bad. Okay, so then we've got this Escavalier. Has Miracle Armor, which says it takes 100 less damage from your opponent's Pokemon V. That's cool. I do kind of wish they would reprint a like Safeguard ability. I mean, I guess we have Altaria, which says it can't be hurt by Rulebox Pokemon. But Altaria is really bad. It only does 60 damage. But anyways, Escavalier has that, but worse, I guess, because it takes 100 less damage. And then Pike, which is fine. Yeah, this isn't good. Then we've got a cool new Zamazenta V. They finally, they heard our prayers to give us a good Zamazenta V. Now, is it great? No. Is it good? Sure. It has the ability Royal Stance, which says you can use this ability once during your turn, and if you do, your turn ends. Discard your hand and draw 5 cards. Now, this would have been so much better, and honestly not that broken, I think, if they just said, play Zamazenta V. You can use the ability once per turn. You can only use 1 Royal Stance per turn. Your turn doesn't end. I think that would have been fine. But, they're Pokemon. They know what they're doing. They've tested their cards out, so maybe it's fine. You do get to use this card with things like Rusted Shield, which is kind of cool, to boost it up to plus 70 HP, so 290 HP. And then use things like Revenge Burst, do 120 plus 30 more damage for each prize card your opponent's taken. So, I mean, it's fine. It's good on the first turn. I don't know if you'll use this again later. It's harder to use mid-game, late game, but I think it's still pretty good. Okay, then we've got Axew with Ultra Evolution, flip coin of heads, so that's not great. I do like that they're trying to make Stage 2 somewhat more viable, and we do see that with some of the new cards that are coming out in the, I think it's in Brilliant Stars, actually, which I'll go over in the next video. But we've got Ultra Evolution. It would be really good if this was not a coin flip. Just straight up put Haxorus on. I don't think that would be that broken either. Then we've got Halucha, trying to be a luchador. Oh, it's so cute. Appealing pose. Halucha is one of my least favorite Pokemon ever, so this is not an appealing pose to me. But attach up to 2 basic energy cards from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. Honestly, not bad. That's pretty good. And then Crosscut does 60 damage for 1. If it's an evolution, it's fine. You can play things like Powerful Energy on this, so it could do 80 damage. Crosscut, fine. Then we've got Drop V, Spike Draw 20 and draw 2, and then Dragon Pulse, discard top 2 cards of your deck. That's also not great. Yeah, it just doesn't. It's not good enough, especially when you're discarding the top 2 cards of your own deck. Now, one of my favorite cards we're getting is Team Yell's Cheer, which finally they're giving us supporters that don't have the stock image art. They're like, what did we get? We got like Cynthia from Ultra Prism, which is just a stock image of Cynthia. We're finally getting brand new artwork for some of the supporters. We get Team Yell's Cheer. It says shuffle 3 in any combination of Pokemon and supporter cards from your discard pile into your deck, except Team Yell's Cheer. Basically a buffed up Pal Pad. And you can play Pal Pad to shuffle this back into your deck, so you kind of get a never-ending loop, which is exactly what control decks want to see. So these control decks capitalize on controlling the pace of the game and having more resources at the end of the day than your opponent. So this is going to be a great way to get your supporters back. Things like Cheryl, things like Cook, which I've honestly liked a lot. I love Cook. I think it's really good in like a stall type deck. You can get back things like Charon's, what is that card called? Charon's Care, which is Acerola for colorless Pokemon. That's coming out next set. You get things like, I don't know, there's so much stuff you can get back. You can get back Pokemon too. It's a really versatile card, and it's going to be great for control decks. I can't wait to play this card. I think it's going to really buff up control decks in the format. Then we've got Rival or Berry. I kind of wish they just brought back the old Rival card, which said, look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Your opponent chooses 3 to give you, and then put the 2 back. I think that's way cooler of an effect than just draw 3 cards, since there's some interaction in the game. But, you know, what do I know? Then, finally, we've got Marnie's Pride, which, oh my god, the full art is going to be worth so much money. People are going to go nuts for this card, literally. And, anyways, it says attach basic energy card from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. So, like I said, one of those Metal Saucer Dark Patches for any of your Pokemon, and at the cost of your supporter. So I honestly think this is a very good card. Maybe as like a one of, maybe Raihan is just a little bit better, since you can attach a basic energy wherever you want and then search your deck for a card. But it lets you be a little bit more aggressive and not necessarily have to have one of your opponent, not have your opponent knock out one of your Pokemon before you use it. So this lets you be a little bit more proactive, which I think is good. So I don't know, it's different than Raihan. I think they're both very good. Raihan's probably a little bit better. But yeah, so I think this new set is really, really cool. Hopefully we'll be getting a lot of these cards in Brilliant Stars. We'll see. I don't really know how Pokemon's planning on giving us all of these cards. I think Brilliant Stars did say Kingler VMAX is coming out, so I think we will be getting that. So I'm very excited for this set. I hope y'all enjoyed. I love going over new cards and like new concepts of what we can do with them. Like I said, being creative in deck building is one of my favorite things. So I love seeing these new cards, get the gears moving, and all this stuff. So this is the format I'll have for my videos for a little bit, since I'm not in Oregon like I usually am. But anyways, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe if you enjoyed, and stay tuned for